Good afternoon, everybody, and I'm
This meeting is being recorded.
delighted to have everybody attending this webinar today. This is the inaugural year of the Africa Supply Chain Excellence Awards, and what an awards it was. We had phenomenal entries. 67 entries were received, 22 of those were out of South Africa, and the level of finalists, of the 19 finalists we had, were of such a high quality. And we really look forward to bringing more and more of these webinars to you to share learnings, etc., with everybody. And before I get started, I'd like to introduce Gary Marshall to you on the call. Gary, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Hi. Gary is the chairman of our judging committee, and I will hand over him just now to introduce the entry further. But before I do, I'd like to just introduce our guest speaker, Kenneth Karoki. Kenneth, you're online? Is Kenneth online, okay?
Yes,
Kenneth?
yes, I'm here, I'm online.
Oh,
ready.
Fantastic. Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Ken is responsible for COPIA's warehousing and logistics operations. He is an experienced supply chain specialist with experience across multiple industries, including consumer goods, retail, technology, and telecommunications, with companies such as Coca-Cola, Nestle, and Safaricom. He's also a strong technology professional who has a track record of SAP ERP deployments in East Africa. He is an e-commerce enthusiast who is inquisitive about mobile technology. And I know, Gary, we were all very impressed with this entry. And I'd like to first hand over to you to just introduce the entry and provide some of your thoughts on this entry for the ASCEA Awards.
Thanks, Liesl, and good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, it was I love this entry, and I'll tell you why. It was originally entered as a technology entry, so we have different categories.
I'm in a meeting.
Sorry, can you hear?
Yes, Gary, sorry, continue.
Okay. So it was originally entered as a technology entry because of the program that it uses for selecting routes and so on, and that was a typical route optimization entry. And technology-wise, it's right up there with the best. And I think when we looked at it at other supply chain issues or logistics issues which really impressed us. I think, first of all, against a background of being able to deliver into rural areas within Kenya. Sorry, let me switch that off. Delivery to rural areas within Kenya. And that's not an easy task because roads are not the greatest. So the first thing was the coverage that they provided, the delivery footprint in a difficult environment was impressive. The other thing that sort of blew me away was the sheer range of products that they were delivering within a very tight time frame. So it would be everything from a corrugated iron sheet to a bag of mealie meal. So ordinarily, you'll find that the sort of e-commerce deliveries are restricted to, certainly when it comes to time-sensitive shipments, are restricted to small parcels. So I think in this particular instance, we looked at this and we said, this is much bigger than the technology, which of course is an enabler. It is the tool. But we looked at it from more of a logistics environment and said, it's bigger than just technology. What these guys are doing is superb, it's excellent, it's very different. And so we elevated it to another, well, not elevated it, but we transferred it to another category, which we thought it would be more competitive in. So it was really, really great to see. I've had some experience personally of the Kenyan environment. And this one I really thought was something special. So, well done, Kenneth, to you and your team. And let's hear what you have to say.
Great, Gary, thank you. Kenneth, I think it's over to you.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Gary. Thank you, Liesl. I look forward to a very good session. So I'll just share my screen so that we can have a look at what we do here in COPIA. So just give me a sec as I quickly share my screen. All right. I believe you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. I don't know if you want to just put it in presentation mode.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Can you see it in presentation
Yes.
mode?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. So I'll perhaps take it's now 4:08 in Kenya. I'll perhaps take around 30 minutes just to take you through this particular presentation. But indeed, as Gary has said, we live in exciting times and in exciting environments. And so when it comes to COPIA's capability, then indeed we've proven something. We've proven that we care about our customer who is in deep rural areas, and we actually care that they place their orders with us. They need something, and our responsibility is to make sure that we actually get it there cost effectively. So feel free to indulge in this particular presentation, and then you can always ask questions at the very end, at the time for Q&A. So COPIA is an e-commerce company and the only B2C platform that is there, started in East Africa. And we are targeting to be there for the 750 million middle to low income Africans across Africa as a continent. We are right now in Kenya and Uganda, and we are providing those essential and quality products to our customers in these areas. And we also believe that our prices are the best, and we actually pride ourselves in having the lowest prices that are unmatched in our markets at this point in time. And of course, when we are talking about our model, we have a fantastic network of agents, and we use our agent model, over 35,000 of them right now across the two countries, to enable us interact and reach our customers. And so we are indeed targeting over 2 million customers at this particular point, and we are using technology as the bedrock of ensuring that our customers are actually served on time, in full, and to their delight. So our market need and the challenges and potential was largely the 750 million people in Africa who come from that middle to low income mass market that we are looking at. The other observation that you find when you're talking about the middle to low income, it's largely in your rural areas. And when you're talking about those rural areas, there are certain challenges that come with those rural areas. There'll be low smartphone and internet penetration. You'll have guys relying on cash transactions. In terms of infrastructure, the roads will be poor. They will lack the typical address and delivery system that is there in the fast world, and they also have reduced consumer spending power because of competition for the consumer wallet. And so that's our kind of rural setup that we have in East Africa. And because of the poor road infrastructure, then the distribution of consumer goods to these populations is highly inefficient. And when you compare the different companies that we have in Kenya trying to do logistics, then when you look at the per dollar spend on actually getting the goods to the door of these consumers, on average, they would be spending roughly between $8 and $9 per delivery to rural areas. And so we pride ourselves in having gotten that right, and I'll be taking you through that shortly. The other key attribute that we find in our consumer network in rural areas is they have fewer choices. They do not have product variety. Yes, they do need to access this particular service. They are human beings like me, and so their basic needs are the same as those I would have. And so that lack of variety presents an opportunity that requires to be addressed. And where they actually get those products are normally higher priced than what we give them today. And so we saw that opportunity, and we said we were going to tap into it and make sure that we actually give value to our customers, and that's what we do. So COPIA provides a platform for all our consumers to gain access to these everyday products every single day. The household products, food products, beauty products, even for those who have farms and animals, we have products that they actually use to tend their farms and tend to their animals as well. And we deliver all these things free of charge. We do not charge for delivery at all. It's FOC. And that's actually the tipping point for our clientele out there in the rural markets. So one of the brilliant things they value from us is the fact that we deliver to them free of charge, and we deliver to their doorstep. And so from their suppliers in urban centers, in the towns where most of us live, or the bigger population of Kenya lives, we actually take these products deep rural into those particular areas that are hard to reach, and through our agent network, which is our drop-off points. And I will show you a few pictures about that shortly. And so in East Africa, there's no other provider that supplies goods to bottom of the pyramid, underserved rural homes with these everyday goods that are normally found in modern trade like supermarkets, as I've just mentioned. And the icing on the cake is the fact that we do it free of charge. And so these customers from these rural homes would typically travel hundreds of kilometers to purchase this limited range of products, while still incurring transportation charges and losing time traveling instead of being more productive in their farms. So definitely there's an opportunity there. There's something that needs to be addressed. Our typical product catalog looks, as you can see here. In the food category, we have items like sugar, salt, juices, cooking fat, rice, blue band, and maize flour. So these are your everyday products that you use every single day. You use them to cook, use them to make tea, and all that. Then we have personal care, things like bar soaps, toothpaste, sanitary pads, shoe polish. There are items under the household categories, mattresses to sleep on. And those mattresses are actually quite voluminous when you're looking at them from a distribution standpoint, and we continue to make improvements to get that right. We have things like plastics, sewing machines, pressure cookers that are used in the kitchen. We also have construction products, things like wire meshes, barbed wires, tanks. Tanks are the other high voluminous items when you come to consider it from a distribution standpoint. We have iron sheets, we have wooden doors, quite a variety of products. In farming, for animals, we have cow salt, we have badizo castrators, chicken feeders, and things like fertilizers. So our product list or SKUs are upwards of around 6,000 SKUs. And all this we offer to our clientele digitally. And so all they need to do is to place an order via an SMS, and they will get their product. We also have other channels like our website. We have tablets, and also so clearly we've embraced technology very well. So how COPIA works, I'll just go to the last paragraph there. We use a mobile application and a network of over 38,000 agents and a seamless logistics system to deliver to our customers. And so all those essential products that I've just shown you in the previous slides, we give them at affordable prices to over 1.9 million customers in Kenya and Uganda. And we've already fulfilled more than 13 million orders to date. And of course, on this call, I'm joined by Haron, who's our head of delivery. And of course, he's the one who normally takes all these products to market as well. And so well done to this fantastic team. So how it works, COPIA procures the goods from suppliers who deliver goods to the fulfillment center on a make-to-forecast basis. So we keep some stock, not all stock we keep. On average, we have 14 days of stock at our fulfillment center. The customers then would place orders, and those orders would be consolidated at the end of the day, which we call our order confirmation process at around 10 p.m. at night. Then the next thing that happens there is we create route plans for all those orders that have been received from customers using our route planning software. Then we now push those route plans to our fulfillment process, and those orders then are packed within the fulfillment center at Tatu City in Ruiru in Kenya. Then the next process there would be those orders being loaded onto trucks and delivered to the customers using an efficient delivery network. And so we have a hub and spoke model of this particular delivery network, and a strong 360 last mile truck network to make sure that these orders arrive at their customers' destination points within 48 hours of when they started ordering to any part of our covered territories in East Africa. And so that's how it works, and it's a seamless sweet process. And so what we've done here is we've given you a pictorial view of how we've made it easy for consumers to order and receive the goods. So our customers have an option. They can visit the nearest COPIA agent that is there, and these retail shops, they could be your salon where you go to make your hair, or your barber shop, or you can also go online to our website, and you also order from there. And so some of our agents also have tablets that we've equipped them with, and they also receive catalogs that they take their customers through. Then the customer selects the items from the agent's or catalog or through the website, and then they make the payment via mobile money. And in the Kenyan context, we have a very successful tool we call M-Pesa, which enables receipt of payment from our customers. And these customers would pay our agents in advance, but for COPIA, they pay when we deliver the goods. So when they see the goods and the vehicle has arrived, that's when the agent pays the agent pays COPIA on behalf of the customer. And so COPIA delivers within 2 to 4 days. Our SLA is largely 48 hours, which is 2 days. And we are happy to note that as we speak today, we are actually at around 97% order OTIF, and it's an improvement from when we did this submission to the panel when we were at around 95%. And so the last part is the customer collects the items from the closest agent collection point, and they're happy and smiling. But then what enables our customers to receive these goods that they're talking about comes the logistics network that we are talking about. Let's just move this one down here. All right. So this is our current distribution network in East Africa. We have a fulfillment center in Tatu City near Nairobi in Kenya, and we have a second fulfillment center in Uganda, Kampala. And so we have a network also of all these black houses and maroon houses that you can see, or purple houses, which are our depots. And then the blue spots that you can see all over the place, those are everywhere where our agents are. And so we are still growing in the market. And so you can see some opportunity areas round about where the CASA is. And we are busy addressing that and growing logically into those areas from an organic point of view. And so the opportunity is still there, but as you can see in the Kenyan context, we've really covered ground, and we are using the same experience to also grow our Ugandan market. All right. So on the next slide, let me just type. All right. So from a process point of view, what we saw as an opportunity from the process that I took you through was highlighted here in number 4. We were creating route plans for orders that we received from the customers manually before in static format or in static route plans. But now there's an opportunity to actually use route planning software and to make that dynamic. And so that was the opportunity that we identified in our process that needed improvement. And what was the issue with the route plans? Before, no dynamic route plans existed at the beginning. And when the route plans were introduced, it was on this static route planning basis where vehicles would be allocated particular routes to go to or roads to follow every single day. And that would be the process, whether there was demand or not. And so, of course, some of those vehicles were actually hitting the market when they were pretty much empty. And so this created an opportunity for middlemen to indirectly control the management of the entire vehicle pool that we had. And so COPIA had its fleet, and therefore middlemen created the need for their trucks to be hired through collusion with staff. And so, of course, that talks to corruption and bribery and stuff that we needed to also address. So what happened at the tail end is it led to idle truck capacity, underutilized truck capacity, and increased logistics cost of transportation, and hence where the opportunity to also improve on cost came from. And so the cost of logistics was very, very high. All right. The cost of logistics was 54% as a percentage contribution to sales revenue. And if from the companies you work for, you will note that that particular percentage needs to be in the single digit territory between 6% and 8%. So 54% was very, very high. And the cost of each delivery to each agent partner in the network was $8.4 US. Our service to customers was pretty low at 46% on time and in full OTIF, and largely because middlemen were the ones creating an opportunity for themselves to supply. So they would delay orders from going, and it would have a ripple effect into the next day, and hence this poor service to our customers. So when we analyzed it, the cost drivers at unit cost were absolutely not optimized at all. The number of trucks utilized per day were 87 trucks. And that's a key number to note. I'll be referring to that. And the truck capacity utilization was at around 7%. So the trucks were literally going out there empty because they are not following demand. The average working hours per truck per day was 4.5 hours. And yet these trucks were supposed to work for 8 to 9 hours in a day, and even by our labor law standards. So duplicate trucks were used to transport goods to customers in static route patterns, and that was highly, highly inefficient for us and costly. The number of loads per truck were on average at around 11 drops per day, also speaking to the 7% truck capacity utilization that we saw earlier. And then the middlemen who supplied the trucks to COPIA were not the real owners of the trucks. They were just purely middlemen inflating our cost bill. And so the solution was typically to move from static route plans to dynamic route plans, and to engage the owners of the vehicles directly instead of middlemen. All right. And so what is this dynamic route planning that we are talking about? It is simply the process of allocating fleet resources by following demand whilst using route planning software technology every single day. And this for us happens at around 10 p.m. in the night to midnight. And then we organize the work for the shop floor the next day, and the guys come in and they fulfill orders very, very well. And so these orders are normally received and batch processed at the end of the day into daily scheduled route plans. Then what happens next is the orders are subjected to route planning technology, where the order dataset, the agent GPS locations dataset, and the vehicle dataset are combined to create logical routes that are serviceable within a normal working day shift. And so these agent GPS locations, it's actually a satellite GPS location for the agent network that you saw with the blue spots all over the map that you just saw. And so all orders are assigned to unique routes daily and dedicatedly into route plans. So this dynamic route planning continues to be a key component of our path to profit. Number one, we saw it as bringing more efficiency to the business. It was going to improve our service, and it was going to also deliver concrete savings to the business. And so it manages, or it managed it allows us to manage changes in demand on a dynamic basis and on the fly. And this is a pictorial view of what we anticipated to see. Those demand spikes from the agents. And so with these demand spikes from the agents, there was risk of service failure. And then we had static demand again to the agent, and that meant high costs. And so we had to change that. So how dynamic route planning works from a solution point of view is we combine these variables that you're seeing here, the information as a variable, the assets being the vehicles and all, and the conditions being the planning parameters that go into the route planning software. So when you combine that and you put that into the route planning software, the result is just beautiful. And so we have information which we convert into data, and this is the usual, the number of orders that would come in as information, the agents who ordered as information. Then we have our ERP that has the data, which is the weights and volumes of each product that we are actually getting, and the agent GPS location that I referred to earlier. Then we have all these assets that we use to execute delivery. You've seen the 11 depots in the Kenyan context, and the opportunity to improve to 5 more depots in Kenya, and the 2 depots in Uganda. So those are the assets we are talking about. We have a pool of vehicles. In the Kenyan context, we have 360. In Uganda, we have 30. We have a delivery app that shows the sequence of service that our delivery crew using the pool of vehicles should serve our agents with. And we have maps, and we have CTRAC there. And CTRAC, by the way, for the record, is actually from South Africa, and we actually use it as a software, a SaaS model, software as a service type of model. And it's actually the tool that we use to give us GPS coordinates for the agents. And then from these conditions that you can see here, we are able to govern how fast we can deliver. So we look at the speed, and the speed is a function of the terrain. We also look at the shift time, which is low. So for instance, in the Kenyan context, we work between 8 and 9 hours every single day. And beyond that, you have to pay overtime. And within a week, you cannot work above 54 hours. And so we also have to consider that. And then another condition that we have there is the delivery stop time, which governs the quality of relationship between our agent and our delivery associate, who we nickname our DA. And so that delivery stop time is important because we marked it as 7 minutes at this particular point, with an ambition to improve it to 5 minutes while still maintaining the quality of relationship with the agent. And so we have to make a delivery plan using these variables. And that sequential plan is by vehicle. And you can see here, the 1212 actually refers to the sequence with which we will serve each of these particular agents. And so that's what the delivery crew will be seeing in their vehicle. And so every night, all those inputs get processed to make the plan through a system we call OptiFlow or Conundra, and then pushed to number 1, kitting, and then to the delivery app for purposes of delivery. And so every day, the plan drives the supply chain process. So that's where we start and end the process. You can see there that the first item there is the sequential route plan will be generated. Then we'll move it into kitting. Then from kitting, it will be pushed into delivery app, and then we will then monitor it using dashboards. And kitting here refers to the order fulfillment process that we've spoken about already. Then we have the plan. The plan that is generated by the software at a country level looks like this. And so in this case, if you remember at that particular point, I spoke of 87 trucks that we are using. In this plan, you can see when you are doing it dynamically, it's telling us that we could use 22 routes using 22 vehicles. Can you imagine that? Bringing the number of vehicles down from 87 trucks to 22 trucks. So that's amazing, amazing. And this is what actually happened on that particular day. Then we have one vehicle who could actually tell the route that one vehicle would be able to do. And so you can tell where it's coming from. It's coming from Ruiru over here, where our fulfillment center is, then heads out to Thika, then comes back all the way to the center. Then we monitor this at a country level on a dashboard. And in this particular case, we were talking about having 1,282 drops, serving 2,884 customers with 3,257 orders, and so on and so forth, showing all the invoices that were done. And we have the visuals that were actually telling us about each of the deliveries. So if you look at the graphs, each bar graph is actually a vehicle. Each bar graph is a vehicle, and you can see a green and a blue. And so as the day progresses, using the delivery app that I've just spoken about in the previous slides, while the DA or the delivery crew is actually using the app, then the graph turns from green to blue. So in this case, if I look at the very first one, By that time, we had already done 12 successful drops, and there were 5 pending drops. And so those are the things that we would now use via our control tower to engage the delivery crew, to ask them questions about whether they are okay en route, and if they foresee actually finishing the 5 within time. Then we also use a map, and this map actually tells you exactly where the vehicle is. So here you can see an example of a vehicle, KBG 770E, and that is the number plate. And it was actually near Lilian Njeri Wanjiru. So Lilian is one of our agents, and that vehicle was actually traveling, going to deliver towards Masi Nyambura Mukinyo on that day. And we could even tell the speed of travel was at around 22 kilometers per hour, and so on and so forth. And this actually comes from that Citrox system that I spoke about. Then we developed a manifest in our ERP, and this manifest mirrors what the delivery crew see on the palm of their hands, being the app. And so this manifest, this is for one single route, showing our control tower exactly which agent is being delivered to, and it shows our planned sequence. You can see here number 1 all the way to number 16. And that was the planned sequence with which we are supposed to deliver to the agent 2. And then we also measure the actual sequence that we used. So for instance, you can see somewhere they actually change the sequence a bit, and we allow that because this is where man is better. Man's brain is better than machine and machine learning from our experience. And so sometimes you'd find Google would send you to a different direction, but yet a human being knows that here the bridge is broken, or here there's a shorter route that I can actually use and serve all the customers. And so we allow our delivery to actually make that variation. And so we also look at the planned drop time when someone is supposed to arrive at an agent spot, when they're supposed to depart that agent spot, and we've given them on average 11, or we had given them on average 11 minutes at the time. We reduced it to 7 minutes, and now we are looking at opportunity to reduce it further to 5 minutes. Then we measure the actual time taken, the actual time they arrive at the agent, and the actual time they actually take to serve the agent. And in some cases, you can see them doing 6 minutes, 7 minutes, talking to the opportunity to reduce it to 7 minutes. And then where the actual service time would be more than that, then we'd be asking questions like, why did you take 22 minutes or 56 minutes at that particular agent spot? And in more cases than not, then you'd find this would be a triangulation. The agents would be close to each other, hence it would pick from a triangulation point of view, to pick that as the same spot and record it here. But on average, we could tell that we were actually taking 7 minutes to serve our agents, hence why we reduced that service time to 7 minutes. And reducing that by that 4 minutes actually reduced our costs even further. And then we developed this particular route map internally, and this one combines everything that you've seen in the previous slides. So the red line is the route that the vehicle is traveling, and so you can see via GPS that the vehicle actually went and met all these agents, and the black spots are the agents. So you can easily tell whether the crew actually arrived at each of these spots or not. And then the blue triangle here is where the app was being used. So what we noted was there was a difference between the GPS being satellite, and then the delivery app giving us the triangles, the blue triangles, because they were coming from our mobile network, GSM network locally, which was not very, very accurate at the time, but it has since improved. And then we also use exception alerts to enhance monitoring. And this is just an example of a similar example to the dashboard I showed you on the previous slide. So I'll just move through this one. And so some of the results, what were the results that we saw? So dynamic route planning improved our service and reduced our costs. So we reduced the number of vehicles, as you saw, from 87 to 22. That meant we also reduced the number of kilometers driven, and that speaks to the cost side of things. We actually reduced cost, and then we improved on time and in full score OTIF to around 98%. Okay, 96%, 95% then, with a target to get to 98%. Then from a project tracking point of view, we started this project on the 31st of October, 2018. And the intended finish date was 15th of February 2019. And you can see here, we actually started on that same 31st October as intended, but finished a month later on the 30th of March 2019. But the project was heavily successful. So you can imagine reducing your cost of logistics, cost per drop from $8.4 to $2 within 43 days. You can imagine the excitement, the impact to the board as stakeholders, and the value that you actually show that supply chain can give to the owners of the company. So this was just breathtaking at the time for us. So the results that were achieved, 98% on time and in full, and we actually ensured that all routes were completed even when there were order spikes. Remember the 7% capacity utilization of the trucks? So even when there were order spikes, the vehicles could still handle the volumes. And so those are the benefits that we were talking about. And then we also reduced the cost of delivery. And so in this case here, you can see a simple analysis of the 9 routes that we were looking at before, and then they were in static mode. And in this case, they were reduced to 7 vehicles from this sample of 9 routes that we actually took. And we actually then confirmed that we got 21% cost reduction and 18% reduction in the kilometers traveled, meaning that we were actually saving around about 79 Kenyan shillings in this particular case for each drop that we were doing. So then what we did then thereafter is looked at the impact from a benefit point of view, from a cost over time. And so the cost per drop moved from the $8.4. And by the time we were finishing this project round about March of 2019, we were already at around $4, and then over time brought it downwards towards $2. So imagine that impact and the excitement that the business felt. And to date, actually, we have maintained at this particular $2 level, which is brilliant. And we've actually done another simulation, again, using this particular software that promises to our stakeholders in the business that we will now take this to around $1.25. And that's what we will be driving into next year. So on the next slide, then, the team that was involved, this was a cross-functional team. The project sponsor was my CEO, Tim Steele. I report to him. And I was the chair of the project committee as the vice president for supply chain. And the cross-functional project team members, as you can see here, we had representation from the delivery team. Haron, who's actually on the call, was part of this team. And we are also involving our vice president for technology. We had finance represented. We had 2 tech developers involved in it. And we also had our route planners in the room. And so the discussions were very authentic and detailed for us to get the results that you've seen there. And so the way forward for us, we are rolling out into Africa, starting with our new country. I think we went into Uganda last year, and we've actually rolled out this in Uganda. We are already using this particular solution in Uganda with the same learnings from Kenya. So the result even there is quite beautiful. And even as we look to rolling out in West Africa in the coming year, then we will still use the same. And so we'll roll it out from a Pan-African standpoint as we grow COPIA into Africa. Then beyond what we've done, okay, let me first start with this summary of these key achievements that we've done. So through the dynamic route planning system, we have leveraged our customer feedback and stocked up our inventory, creating that 98% correct product delivery and reliability. So that is speaking to OTIF, and that is very crucial. And this 98% definition that you're seeing here was even revised further, and that can be a discussion that we will do in a different discussion. Then secondly, as a result of all the things that we did with the software and providing what our customers needed, we lowered our cost per drop from 840 to 210, saving 74% of our cost in 6 months. Then importantly, we also cut our service time from 15 minutes to 7 minutes using dynamic route planning, which really aided us to get that lowest possible price with free delivery, with quality to our customers, and with that fantastic engagement with our agents. And so what's next for us is we are looking at new innovations. In the coming year, we will deliver on our warehouse management system. We will put it in place so that we improve productivity within the warehouse and how our inventory teams interface with the fulfillment teams. And then we will also deploy RFID technology to improve how we are tracking our assets, but also how we utilize our docks and improve on the efficiency around our dock operations, our offloading and loading operations, both at the fulfillment center and all the depots that we have across the country. And so I think I've taken round about 40 minutes to take you through this particular slide. And I've gone through the slides pretty fast so that we just leave some time of Q&A. And so I'll be willing to take any questions that you have. So back to you, Lizel.
Great, Kenneth, thank you so much. That was a really fantastic presentation. And yes, we have a few questions for you. Two from Stella from Mozambique. She wants to know, firstly, how do you deal with product returns and reverse logistics, if there are any? And the second one is, how do you ensure that people are compliant to the transport safety requirements? Do you have a procedure for that?
Wow, those are beautiful questions. Those are brilliant questions. So,
do you want to address those first before I give you any more?
Yes. So returns, and then the other question was on safety. So our returns, when I joined the business, our returns was upwards of 15%. But as we speak today, our returns are at 3%. And so what we did was simply to be purposeful about the reasons for these returns. And you'll find that in most cases, because we are using our delivery crew and agents to deliver to our customers, then that touch-off point needed to be managed tightly. So the agents needed to have money ready by the time the delivery crew were getting to the agent's spot. And so we had to train the agents that they needed to have money in their phones via the M-Pesa system so that they can pay for the goods when they arrive. We also had to train the agents to be available. So they have to be available. Yes, they are busy. Yes, they're in their farms. Yes, they have other businesses they're doing. But when it's time to get our delivery, they have to be available to collect the delivery or to provide an alternative contact who would be available to pick the goods on their behalf. Then from a safety standpoint, and this is actually an ESG imperative and very important for ESG, we are, I would call it, we are ruthless in how we manage it. And so the other day, we gave a target. We gave a target to our teams, and we told them we want zero accidents. And so the ruthlessness comes from the angle that if there's any accident that is fatal, caused by any of our transporters' vehicles, then they stand to lose the entire contract that they have with us. But we, on the softer side, we have insisted on defensive driving, and we want to see certifications for any new driver that we are getting on defensive driving. We are putting incentives. Those are team incentives for each of our depots, and so we manage them by depot. And we are telling our depots, if you achieve our service score of, let's say, 99% in this instance, and you have 0 accidents in your fleet, then we will have a Nyamachoma session. We will come for a goat eating party with you and celebrate these successes with you. And the best team will actually get the Vice President's Award, which is an award from my office to the best performers. So that's how we are motivating safety imperatives, but we are also training We have sensitization forums with all these transporters and drivers, and also the delivery crew. Every week, different depots, sensitizing them on what it means to be safe while on the road. So quite a bit of activity going there.
Oh, that's great news. A question from William. Do you use any refrigerated trucks for any of your deliveries?
No, we do not use any refrigerated trucks at this point because we do not have perishables as part of our product portfolio.
All right. And then Isak would like to know, which software did you use for proposing the optimized dynamic routes?
So we use OptiFlow. OptiFlow is OPTI. Flow is FLOW. It's from Conundra. I think the company is based in Belgium.
Okay, fantastic. So before I hand over for some closing comments, are there any other questions on the floor? Anybody want to put their hand up and ask Kenneth a question? I don't see any hands up. Gary, you got a question?
Yeah, maybe I see Mike Johnston, one of our fellow judges, is on the line. I wondered if Mike wanted to add any comments to it.
Hi, Mike. Where are you?
Hi, you got me. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I was one of the judges on this particular one. I think it was very interesting. You know, it was very much an African solution, you know, with a wide range of very basic sort of living problems, you know, from hardware through to food products and things like that. And the territory they cover is enormous. But, you know, they've used a little bit of local sort of, social structuring with a bit of technology and a bit of common sense to come up with a very practical, workable solution. I think one of the problems they had initially was they were using a lot of subcontractors for the transport. And they were only too happy to drive inefficient routes and sort of drive around with nothing on the back but get paid for it. So I think reeling in that was a good decision. You know, I know when we talked about it, we went through it, I had a little bit of problem with their terminology. You know, static routing and dynamic routing. I don't, those are not terms that I would use. Rather, the routing is fixed routing, where, you know, the same trucks go to the same site every day, you know, on a fixed schedule. And flexible routing is where it changes every day based on your order profile. So, you know, you only go where you have orders. That's the way we would sort of think about it here locally. Dynamic routing, I think, is to me is a slightly different animal, and that's where you change the route whilst it's in process. You know, this is where couriers use this a lot. You know, where they get an order whilst the vehicle is out, and they then suddenly divert it to come and collect or to deliver, things like that. But it was a very clever solution, a very African solution, and I like it. I think it, you know, it's sort of using a lot of common sense and a lot of reality, and it was very well done, very well done. I think the point that Gary made earlier, you know, they felt very strongly about the technology, but it was the application of the technology that really impressed us. You know, in a very sort of dynamic market. You know, the use of agents, I think, is very clever. You know, it's a bit like Tupperware or Abroy Lane, where you have local people who are effectively marketing your range of products, and they're your go-to people in terms of contact. And you know, that makes a lot of sense, and it certainly works in these rural environments. So it was well done to them.
Great, Mike. Thank you so much. Gary, any comments you want to add further?
No, I think we really like this. It was a very, very popular entry into the awards this year. And as I say, having some knowledge of the environment there and the difficulties that they actually face, and to get those kind of results. I mean, if you have a look at that cost, the downward drive on cost to get OTIF to the level that it is, for me, it really was a standout entry. And so congratulations to Kenneth, to you and the rest of your team there. I know you may have been the project lead here, but I'm sure there was a lot of pain and a lot of pressure right across the organization to get this right. Liesl, I see Fred's hand is up.
Yes. Fred, you have a question?
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. Yeah, thanks. My name is Fred Manyala from Nairobi, and mine is just to congratulate Ken and team for the wonderful work that they've done. I like the energy and the enthusiasm in making sure that our rural folks enjoy the stuff that we enjoy in the city at a very, very affordable prices. So Ken, keep it up, and please spread the gospel of supply chain excellence. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred. Liesl, it's important that I say I was a student of Fred. So.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today in your presentation. And I really hope you inspire a lot more young professionals out there. We will be posting the webinar up so people can access it and have a look at it. Because it really is important for us to give back to the industry on learnings of supply chain excellence, especially in Africa. And so thank you so much, and congratulations again on your win. And just a reminder to everybody that entries are open for the 2023 award cycle. And if you have an inspiring story to share and you think you've got what it takes to win a category, we've got some new categories on the procurement side. And I really would encourage you to enter. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kenneth, so much, Gary, Mike, the judges, and to all the participants today. It was so great hosting you and sharing this fantastic story with you.
Most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.